This is utterly depressing. And again, this is supposed to be September. People think it's the start of a new term. People coming back after some degree of summer break, and then maybe we'll get down to the actual business and work of the council. But instead, we have an attempt to try and push a type of very divisive politics into this city that, in my view, puts people at risk, that whips up fear and tension, and that creates an environment that we should not be standing for. And that's what this motion has intended to do. And I think there has been some good faith engagement from other parties to say we are willing to have a conversation about safety in parks and play parks, and to do it rationally and sanely, to recognise the facts, to speak with the relevant stakeholders and statutory partners, including the police, who told me last week at the East Belfast DPCSP meeting, which the High Sheriff was also at, and Councillor Donnelly, that actually some of these instances that some elected representatives have been referred to are being misreported. That's a problem. That is a problem whenever facts are being distorted. It's a problem whenever the facts provided by our own Parks Department indicate that antisocial behaviour and instances reported in parks are on a trend of going down. And in fact, last year was the lowest level in 5 years, since a whole pile of recorded instances during COVID lockdowns, which I will like to presume were maybe people snitching on each other for breaking lockdown and doing things they shouldn't have been doing. But the point here is that the actual facts, the actual information, not the whipping up of tensions, not the social media posts and videos and hyperbole, all tell us something different. We want to engage in a positive conversation about making our green spaces happy, friendly, safe environments where children can grow and learn, where they can get to know other kids and socialise, become part of a community. I don't think there's any councillor in this room who doesn't want to engage in that type of work. But I think what's different for all of us compared to what the proposer of this motion is talking about is that the rest of us want to do it in a way that every child is protected and every child is looked after. And we don't create an environment where people start to question people about their paperwork based on the colour of their skin, because that started to happen in this city. Where we don't have people roaming the streets demanding to know the provenance as to why somebody is there or why they are unvetted on our streets, despite the fact, of course, that the very people who are doing this vigilante behaviour are unvetted themselves. And I'm sure we might find a few questions if we pursued that line of questioning with them. I am appalled at the language that has been used in relation to this. On social media, in the conversation that happened in PNC, it is right to say that it is a dog whistle. And it is, in my view, creating an unwelcome scenario for people of different ethnicities in our city. And the mention of the Home Office was very clearly that. It was about trying to signal something to a particular audience, to a particular group of people, to send a very certain message. And I think it would be far more productive if the alderman in question, instead of actually trying to pursue dog whistle politics, if he wants a dog whistle, instead of posting some of the nonsense he does on Facebook. I brought him a gift this evening. He's more than happy to take it. I'm appalled that this type of politics has taken hold again in our city. I'm appalled that we're seeing people talking about illegals and unvetted people. I'm appalled that we're seeing this type of racism take hold, and each of us have to do our work.
Yes. Yeah, fine. I mean, would the member agree? I mean, there is high levels of violence sometimes in our parks, right? And it happens particularly around one time of the year. It's the 11th of July. When people move into our parks, it builds huge bonfires, it causes havoc. We don't ever hear the members across the way coming forward asking for any resolution.
Again, Lord Mayor, what I'll say on this is I will defer to statistics. So I look forward to seeing if there is a month-by-month breakdown over the last 5 years from our City and Neighbourhood Services teams in terms of when antisocial behaviour incidents have taken place in our parks. And then we'll get a proper sense of things. We have to move away from this type of divisive politics. And I think we do have to call it out for what it is. In my view, it is racism. In my view, it puts a target on the backs of people of a different ethnic background to the majority of people in this city. In my view, it is creating an unsafe space in our parks and green spaces, and on our streets and in our communities, and that has to be resisted and opposed. In my view, we have to move away from the politics of Farage and Reform and Trump, and instead to something that actually is about bringing people together. And I would be concerned if I was standing here in this chamber tonight talking about people's safety, talking about the safety of women and children, no less, and the immigration policies that I pursued were now being endorsed by the Taliban, of all people. That is the craziness where we have arrived at. That is the position where the far right have got us to, where those considerations and discussions and debates are actually taking place. Instead of something about building this city up, instead of something about trying to make sure that all of our parks and green spaces are safe for people and inclusive and welcoming environments, we get this nonsense, this dog whistle nonsense, this racist nonsense. And it's time to call it out. It's time to put an end to it. The rest of us will work together in making sure the parks and green spaces are safe places. For those who wish to continue with the dog whistle, you're happy to it.